Welcome. My name is Doug Simcox, and this is Beyond the Chutes. New York has been a part of rodeo for more than 60 years. Today is Sunday, May 14th, 2023, and we are talking with my co-host, Sam Swearingen, a two-time North America Rodeo Commission saddle bronc riding champion and a father of 4 children, Katie, Molly, Dalen, and Colton, and a husband, married to Miss Carrie. Sam, how are you this morning?
Never better, Doug. How are things going with yourself?
It's going really, really good. I'm sitting here in Iowa in the motorhome. A bit rainy, a bit overcast, but I would say it's going to be a beautiful day. And
Great. Yeah.
you're in your pickup truck at your house
Yeah,
in New York?
I am
Yeah,
riding for the brand, sitting
right.
in here where you can hear a little better. Um, Beautiful sunny day. Just probably 65 degrees, gonna be 75. Just doesn't get any better than this in Western New York. We got our faults, but days like this make it good.
Absolutely. Upstate New York, what a beautiful place. And you've been traveling so much up and down Route 70 between Oklahoma and New York. It feels like you're most at home and most comfortable sitting in a pickup truck. So it makes sense that on this Sunday morning, you went outside the house to have a conversation with me and sitting in your pickup truck.
Well, it might feel like being most comfortable, but let me tell you, it is not.
All right, all right. And I know
Uh,
I know you got a trip coming up today, and we'll talk a little bit about this. All right, so a little bit about last night, Sam. I got to be honest. I went to bed and thinking you and I will simply do a rodeo rant this morning. How dare they? How dare they cut off a live performance, one that I was so engaged with, so that they could show it today at noon. So that's how I went to bed, Sam.
yeah. I I went to bed because I was tired. I was almost falling asleep during it again.
Okay.
Uh, but I I understand all their logistics and they're keeping it very close to the vest. I did find something in there that let me know a little bit what went on,
Hmm.
but they're keeping it very close, and their reason is they want viewers,
Sure.
numbers. It's all about numbers and money, and
Yeah.
if you have TV, that will build money for the Cowboys, so I'm okay with it.
Okay. Okay.
Didn't like it last night, but I'm okay with their goal, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Well, I will say I went to bed. I didn't say I went to sleep angry.
Oh,
Okay, agitated because I'm like, okay, what am I going to do about it now? I can't cut their cinch. You brought that up the other day, right? I can't affect it. There's nothing I can do. And that favorite term, it is as it is, come up. And what's interesting, I had a great night's sleep, woke up this morning, and I got to tell you, I woke up inspired. And what I mean by that, I think I was extremely blessed in that they did cut it where they did because three rides came to mind. When I woke up this morning, we're going to be talking about them here a little bit. And the context for the conversation, Sam, is one that you and I have had over our 30-year friendship. This concept of the mental aspect of what I call the three R's, right? We see these rodeo, wrestling, and racing, and and to me, and to me, you're okay with that? The three R's. You would
well,
agree?
you, you must spell like I do, but
Okay,
okay, go
okay.
ahead.
And to me, we talked about the mental aspect as you approach rodeo, as you approach wrestling, and I'm finding that as I approach auto racing, and I do a little bit of road racing. And what I mean by that is rodeo, bull riding, wrestling are all these short moments that almost are like life, meaning short bursts of life from the beginning to the middle to the end, super quick. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that today, the mental aspects of the game, how these athletes, how we approach life, and how we approach these experiences that we have. So last night there were the first ride that stood out for me was Austin Richardson. And here's a young man who I think has been struggling, not getting the kind of results that he wants. And last night, I just watched his demeanor as he was getting ready to ride. He seemed relaxed. He seemed open to whatever was going to happen. And I think his performance spoke for itself. And I was extremely happy as he finishes his ride, Sam, with an 89 and a quarter points. So, talk a little bit about that mental aspect. And you've talked about the routine as these cowboys get ready, how they get into the zone or create the focus, how they put things aside. Talk a little bit about that, if you would, please.
Um, yeah, Austin's a great young man. Just really down to earth and a good kid. And I was so happy for him last night. It was just he was focused. He didn't make any mistakes. He rode excellent. Bull fit him. It, it was good. It was just outstanding. Uh, Enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah, and I dare say if we could talk to him, he enjoyed it immensely. And the result, I think, came when I watch it. You've talked about setting the mental aspect where your body simply knows what it needs to do. It knows how to respond. It knows how to do what it needs to do as the ride unfolds. And you think about it, in 8 seconds, all the various things that are thrown at the cowboy, how quickly, how without thought you must respond, and if you don't, you're going to get bucked off. If you just take that mental lapse for just a moment, Sam.
And I think it might be more the complete opposite.
Ah.
Not have not have any thinking
Mm.
involved,
Mm.
just doing.
Mm-hmm.
Let your body take over because if you think, it's too late.
Yeah.
And like he last night, he just let his body take over and reacted to everything for the 10 seconds that he needed to, and it was wonderful. He didn't focus on, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I always told everybody, you got to do this, you got to do that. I think now as I get older and look at it, no, you need to prepare to do this, to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get there, you need to just forget about everything and do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And doesn't that apply to all things in our lives for all of us? That sometimes we can struggle our way through, right? Force our way through, and sometimes just letting go, letting be, finding that natural flow of life of God. Um, we can move a lot easier in this world.
And that is probably one of the hardest things to do in life because we want to control our destiny, not what God has for us.
Absolutely. And I think as we think of that control, I think God looks at us and smiles and says, "Oh, that's nice." Right? You can believe you're in control. Right on, my friend. Right on.
I don't think he smiles at what I do sometimes too much. He might shake his head and drop it like I do when the boys do something stupid or the girls do
Well,
something stupid,
and
but that's life, you
that's
know.
what a loving father does.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
what a joy to watch Austin. Again, you think of the past, and if he was dwelling on the past, Sam, if he was dwelling on the past, and you talked about this the other day when we spoke, that Dalen has this ability to say, you know what, that's done. There's nothing I can do, right? And there's you hear the statement a lot, it is as it is, which is true because it's reality. It is as it is. It has happened. And I read something somewhere one time that said when we don't want what is, or we don't want what was, we suffer
Hmm,
because we can't
very
change it.
interesting.
We can't change
Yeah.
it. So it's kind of futile thinking, if you will, and it creates in us a lot of anxiousness and a lot of unhappiness and a lot of anxiety, anger, fear, and
Would you could you say that again, please, Doug? I want to let it sink in this time.
absolutely. Anytime we don't want what is or what was, we suffer. The reality is, it is. It has been. And you brought it up the other day. There's no way I can go rewrite the horse in my mind. There's no way I can get rejudged in my mind, rescored, if you will, by the judges. So it's futile thinking. And we all have a tendency sometimes to drop into that
Yes, very much.
very much.
And I I, I put that going in the past, and you can't change it, can't do nothing about it in rodeo.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
maybe I should put it more in my life,
Well,
and it might help me.
it certainly will. I mean, it certainly does. And you do this. You do this more than just about anyone I know. You do have that ability to move through. You have that ability to see it from maybe just a bit of a different perspective than someone else might see it. And we all need that. We all need that. That change of perspective sometimes. Um, let's with that in mind, let's move on to the next ride I want to talk about, and this is Chase Outlaw's ride. And we talk about the demeanor, the energy, the routine when a cowboy gets to ride, and it there was a lot there. There was just a lot there. I was brought up and taught that whatever my energy is when I get on a horse, that horse picks up that energy, it senses that energy and responds. And there was a lot of, felt like, from where I was sitting and watching, there was a lot of anxiousness and aggression and wanting to do so hard, Sam, just wanting to do so bad, meaning wanting it so much. Um, and then the rewrite. And
You know,
mhm.
oh, I'm sorry. Go
Nope,
on.
nope, go ahead.
That is a frustration that very few of us will feel.
Yep.
That much frustration.
Hmm.
Um, it is bubbling out of him. You know, he's done so well at such a high level for so long that it when he's not there and he's not on his game, it just he doesn't know what to do. He has just lost. How come I can buck off this bull I would have rode, you know, numerous times,
Hmm.
and he's still in very good shape. He's still very athletic. I think it is like, and I hate keep going back to analogies of wrestling with Dalen, but when he slapped the mat one time very hard when he lost, and I said to him, if you had that much energy, you didn't leave it all out there.
Hmm.
And that's all I said. That's all I had to say. And he
Yeah,
thought about it.
yeah.
Now, it is totally different in bull riding because it doesn't matter, you know, you can leave it all out there and
Hmm.
not know why it
Hmm.
happened.
Hmm.
And, but it is, that was hard for me to watch, knowing what he was going through.
Right,
Very difficult.
right.
And
And the
yeah,
challenges that he's faced in life, Sam, the loss that he has
yeah.
experienced.
And that came up in my mind the first thing. His
Hmm.
head's not in it because he lost his daughter
Hmm.
not even what 3 months ago.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
your mind is not focused. You might think it is,
yeah,
but it is not focused on what you're doing.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
in the back of your mind, when you're pulling your rope, you may be thinking of your daughter,
Sure, sure.
and that makes riding bulls so difficult,
Oh,
so difficult.
absolutely, No, and that was a thought process I had too. I mean, I wonder how
Okay.
much of the anger he's feeling, the frustration he's feeling, is focused on the loss of his daughter.
Yeah.
When he rode the bull, right, got on the bull, got bucked off, and when he yelled at the bull, that just it almost said to me, why is this way? Why is this so unfair? Why did you do this to me?
And it's almost like he's either yelling at the devil or yelling at God.
That's right. That's right. And if we could sit with him, Sam, I would remind him that he is a child of God and he is loved and God has never left him and he is as he was created by God, still whole, still complete, still perfect, and how to help him move through the frustration and the anger and allow that to be replaced with peace, which is what we all seek, Sam.
Hmm. Well, you did take this in another direction, didn't you?
I did. I did.
It is good though, because it when you he is loved and by many people.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a buck and bull sale and a guy donated a bull in his daughter's name. And what they do at some of these events like that, they'll sell it, and then the guy that paid the 3 or 4 thousand, 6,000, I think was the first amount that it went for,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is donated to that money's donated to Chase or his family.
Yeah.
And then they give it back to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And it it got done about 10 times and finally the auctioneer, the guy that was putting on the auction or something, bought it and said, okay, that's all we can do. So, and I'm sure it was tens of thousands of dollars that was raised.
Mm-hmm.
So he is loved and he needs to feel that, but the frustration coming out is, it is, maybe that's what has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's got to get it out to
Mm-hmm.
move on. And people in the stands, a lot of them don't know his story and what's going on, but he has a story that is very difficult to do what he's trying to do at this point in his life.
Yeah. Yeah. And at times we all face challenges, Sam. We all have those moments where I think we simply say there's got to be something better than this. And I believe in those moments when we say that out loud to the universe, I believe in those moments that God hears us and he puts in our pathway those stepping stones that can help us heal and return in our minds to what we've always been. Um, I'm doing work right now with an organization called the Miracle Activation Center, and a good friend of mine, Reverend Lorendi Roos, she's the director of it, and she offers counseling and services to folks, everything from addiction recovery. And there's a saying, we're all recovering from something, to relationship counseling. There's moments in our relationships where we get stuck and we need conversation, a different thought pattern possibly to help us move through. And she does grief counseling specifically for the life or for the loss of a child. And she has experience in all three of these types of counselings. So I'd invite our listeners when we have struggles to reach out and have a conversation and look for those that can help us maybe see and give us a hand. We don't travel this journey alone, Sam.
And conversation is so huge, so huge. For me,
Mm-hmm.
I need to talk through it. I need someone to listen and give me advice and tell me what I'm doing wrong or doing right. conversation is just a huge part of it. And I commend that lady for what she's doing. I don't know her, but when you're sitting there listening to everybody's problems all day, it's got to be a rough day. Rough day.
Right. And as we put these things out into the world, I believe the light helps to begin to heal those thoughts that we are having. Help us let go of those thoughts that we're having. And her and her group just doing wonderful things out in the world. The third right I want to talk about, and it's a mental aspect, and I'm going to throw this out there. It was my mental aspect that I really paid attention to during Ezekiel Mitchell's ride last night. And what I mean by that is you set up a scenario where you said, I believe this kid can ride this bull. Dennis the Menace, a bull that nobody likes. I mean, the commentators, nobody likes this bull. And I believe from the minute I saw him on camera in the chute, doing his routine, getting ready to go, Sam, I believed he could ride the bull. And what was interesting during the ride, I was watching him make a ride, not getting bucked off, if that makes sense.
You know, um, and I was the same way. Well, I was kind of taught. I said, why would you pick him over the bull? But he he had the ability to ride that bull,
Yeah.
and he had the desire and the mental aspect. I think everything was in his favor. It just didn't get to where it needed to be, and it wasn't for lack of try.
Yeah.
He just didn't get out over the bull that was jumping away from him so hard, so fast. You know, it must have felt to him like there was a rope tied on the chute pulling him backwards.
I, Absolutely. And I'm like, look at the flexibility of this guy. And I'm like, maybe that's the way you ride this bull. Because he went to, what, over 5 seconds. I'm like, I think he's going to do it. And back to the mental aspect, what I mean is it changed how I viewed this bull ride, what you had put out there in the world yesterday. You said, I think he can do it. And there's a saying, there's a concept that says, what I think, what I think, I see. So what I believe, I see. So if I think Ezekiel Mitchell can ride this bull, I see him riding the bull. And this has been true of all things in our lives. As I as I think, I see. So for example, if I think there is love and hope and peace and joy in the world, everywhere I look, that's what I'll see. And of course, if I think the opposite, you know where this goes. So, yeah. Thoughts on that, Sam?
Oh, very, very interesting. Yeah, I never put it quite in that perspective, but it's 100% correct what I think I see. And if you look at it through uh, not a tunnel vision and take in the whole world with that
Yeah.
scenario,
Yeah.
that's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Once when I was riding, and when I was doing it, we never had the books, and I guess we might have had them, but we never knew about it in the mental aspect of what you could change your mind and make your mindset where it needs to be. But one guy did tell me, he said, when there's doubt in your mind, doubt will take over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that kind of stuck with me. And I didn't really, I was just an 18-year-old kid, and I didn't really take it to heart till later on in life. Don't doubt it,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it. Don't doubt it,
I
do
love
it.
it. Don't doubt it. Do it. I love it. I love it. You know, you bring up there's a concept in the TED or the Empowerment Dynamic is a book that I read a few years ago, and got to understand a bit of through that got to understand a bit of kind of the electrical wiring of us, if that makes sense. And there's a concept they talked about which is FISBE, FISBE, and it's an acronym. And the first one is focus, right? So what I focus on, what I think about, what I dwell on creates the next two letters in the acronym, which is IS, which is inner state. So what I focus on creates an inner state. Emotions, feelings, which can be fear, anger, hopelessness, anxiousness, depression, and then the BE is behavior. And this is how I move in the world. This is what happens. And in what I think about creates an inner state. So if I'm thinking about something that upsets me, that I'm angry about, the thought, the event, the experience, I think about this and it creates an anger, anxiousness, fear, whatever within me. My body responds automatically without thought. And in me, it's in my right shoulder blade, and the pain can come in so quickly and so sharply. And for years I had this pain in my shoulder until I learned this concept. And I said, wait a minute, why do I have this pain in my shoulder? What am I feeling? And then what am I thinking about? And what I found was, oh, maybe I should think about this a little bit differently. And what I found was when I did that, my right shoulder stopped hurting. So, what you're describing, yes, don't doubt, do. Let go of this doubt. Have this doubt move through. And what happens is your body relaxes. The tension that we have goes away. The sharpness in our conversation and our voices go away. And I am more in a place where instead of reacting, I can respond. I can respond. And that is all those little tools, Sam, that you learned during your saddle bronc riding, all these little bitty, oh, when I do this, the lessons of the past. When I do this, um, don't dwell on the past, dwell on or pull out of it the lesson that is within it. And those little lessons go into our toolbox. And they get pulled out at exactly the right moment. And I think that's what describes bull riding and what you're talking about. Ride without thought. You already have the tools in your toolboxes. Trust your toolboxes. Now, there's probably times when I need another tool that I don't have yet, and I might get bucked off, and hence pull out that new tool, that new skill, that new realization, put that in our toolbox and go forward from that point.
Oh, Doug, that is wonderful. And even for somebody that is short-circuited like me in the wiring system,
Right,
it
right.
it is great advice.
Yeah,
It is great because you know, you don't realize how much life goes into what we do in life. You know,
absolutely.
we think this is today, but we have to look at a bigger picture for the whole life. And if your mindset is negative, you're going to be negative. You're going to be short and snappy and not pick up the phone and not do things that is beneficial to yourself.
Right, right, right. And
Hmm.
sometimes these conversations, Sam, is how this stuff gets out into the world. And that's what I've enjoyed and appreciated about our conversations for the last 30 years. Certainly, we talk about rodeo and wrestling and racing. However, there's always a deeper chord to it that I've always appreciated in our conversations.
Well, I never really recognized it till today,
Okay.
but that was good. It
Okay.
was always, I say I didn't recognize it. It was always an underlying, treat people right, do good, conversations. But at this point in time, I'm realizing it more and more.
Okay.
So
Okay. Beautiful.
kudos.
Well, this just felt like on a beautiful Sunday morning, me in Iowa, you in upstate New York. It just felt like a beautiful morning to sit back and just have a bit of a different conversation this morning, Sam. You've got a journey today. You've got to travel today. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'm going to a funeral for a great young man that 32 years old, hard-working kid that was on a rodeo committee that I in North Washington, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
Uh, Met the kid probably when he was 15, 16 years old, and they believe he had a heart attack at 32 years old.
Oh my.
And
Oh my.
he was one of them boys. His job when I first met him was to work the arena
Hmm.
and make sure it was ready for the rodeo. And when it was done, he would flatten it out so if it rained, it didn't get too bad, you know. And he was there when it was time to do it. He was there for the slack. Um, every time he had to work for the barrel race, if we had 30 girls in the slack, he was there to do it. And just a great young man. And we never know how things will go and when it'll be done. And it hopefully he had his priorities straight and is right with the Lord so that he'll have a better life. And I did not know him that well to
Hmm.
that capacity,
Hmm.
but uh, just you never know. You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
be ready.
Live each day like it were your last, right? Isn't that the Tim McGraw song?
Yeah.
Good advice, I
Yep.
think. Good advice, yeah. So our thoughts are with you, Sam, and with his family today. Our prayers are with us, or with you, and he and his family. Um, so I've really enjoyed the conversation today, Sam, and I'm glad that we had this. And quite frankly, I think it was probably better than doing a I don't know. We could have done 15 or 20 minutes of a rant about not seeing the final 15, but I think this makes me feel a little bit better than possibly a rant would have made me feel.
You know, it for me it was kind of what I needed. I needed a little perspective that life goes on and you don't need to take it so personal.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
live it, make the best you can of it, and go on. Because, a guy told me when we were wrestling, you know, we had two undefeated teams going at each other, and we are right next to each other school wise within 15 miles, and it was really good. And the other, he was our principal, but his son was on the other team. And he said, Sam, he said, 100 years from now, nobody's going to remember this.
right, right, right,
And no, it was probably 3 years from then that nobody remembered or
right,
cared.
right, right.
So let's put it in perspective what we do today and how we treat people.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, Sam, I thank you for a great conversation. Um, Safe travels today as you head to North Washington, and we'll be in touch. We'll have more conversation.
Thank you, Doug. It was a pleasure today.
Yeah. This is Beyond the Chutes, where we discuss New York Rodeo, the people and the places they take us, and the conversations that arise in these relationships. Today, we went beyond the chutes to the people, the experiences we all have, to how we experience rodeo, wrestling, and racing, and by extension, this life. There are times that we all face challenges in life. In these moments, an outside voice can be helpful in helping us remember who we truly are. I invite you to visit the Miracle Activation Center online at miracleactivationcenter.com to see how they may be of service for you or someone you love. Until next time, this is Doug Simcox and Sam Swearingen saying thank you for listening.